Hey guys, what's up? I'm Caitlin from Leave Me Alone Plants, and today I am joined here with this gorgeous specimen, my Hurricane Cactus. Now, if you're saying, geez, I've never heard of a Hurricane Cactus. Well, honestly, neither had I when I first saw this plant, and actually thought that it was a dragon fruit plant. I had just been watching a video on Epic Gardening's channel of his dragon fruit, and they look very similar, but they're not the same plant, very different. This is actually going to be a jungle cactus. So if you are like me, you have acquired one of these and you're looking around and can't find a lot of information on them because there's really not that much information about these guys, then keep on watching and we will get into how to keep this guy happy and healthy. So as I had mentioned, this cactus right here is a little bit off the beaten path. When I had first saw it, the instinct that I had was maybe it was a dragon fruit plant. And then I looked at it a little more and I thought, maybe it's related to a dogtail cactus. I really wasn't sure. And before we get into the care tips, I wanted to show you guys a quick little hack that I use for identifying my plants when I can't figure out what they are. It's completely free. Now, if you use an Android phone, then you might know this already. But if you're an iPhone user like me, then you probably do not know this little hack. So, of course, as always, my phone battery's almost dead. What else is new? But when you come into your phone, you're going to want to download the Google app. And now once you're in here, you're going to see this little button on the search bar. It's like a square with a little circle inside. If you press that button, what it's going to do is bring up what it calls the Google lens. If you just point it at your camera and hit that little search button, it's going to search through all its records of things that look similar to this plant to hopefully help you identify what you are looking at. Now, I will admit that the first search result isn't always perfect. It's not always an exact match, but if you scroll through the different results, typically you will be able to find what you were looking for and identify your plant. This is a great alternative to using plant identification apps that typically have a monthly subscription fee. Listen, your girl's just not trying to pay for those. So if you use an Apple phone or if you use an Android, this feature will be built right in. So great way to identify your plants if you're like me and don't always know what you're looking at. Okay, but now to get into the plant itself. So this plant is going to be native to Brazil and Argentina. And of course, we're going to use that information to help us figure out what the natural care environment would be for this plant. Now, knowing that it is a jungle cactus, as always, this is going to mean that it's going to have a little bit of a different care requirement than your typical desert cactus like we have here in Arizona. I think the most notable thing for these jungle cactuses versus a typical cactus is going to be their light requirement. So they're not going to like a bright direct light like your standard cactus will. Instead, these guys are going to enjoy more of a bright indirect light to more of a moderate lighting situation. Now, I'll bring this guy a little closer so that you can see. You might notice that on the edge here we have some redding, and what you'll notice if this guy is getting too much sunlight is that actually the whole plant will turn completely red. I'll see if I can find a picture and I will put it over here. But that's a good way to know that your plant is getting too much light and that it's really stressed out, it's not enjoying it too much. Now, I will admit that I think that they're kind of pretty when they look like that. I do like that this one has a little bit of that red coloring on it. But ultimately, if you want your plant to be happy and healthy, then maybe bump it down just a little bit. Now, you might have noticed when I picked up this cactus that I was touching it, and my first thought when I saw this was that these little white fuzzy things on here were spines, but they're actually not. You can touch them and they won't prick into you. So I always think that that is a nice thing about jungle cactuses is typically they won't have those standard spines because I like to be pretty hands-on with my plants. I like to touch them. I like to see how they're doing. So I always enjoy when I can kind of feel what's going on with my plants. As for watering, like so many of the plants that we discuss on this channel, like so many of the jungle cactuses we discuss, this guy is going to be epiphytic, which of course means that it is not going to always be growing in a normal soil medium like I have it in. It can kind of latch itself onto whatever it wants and grow from there. Thinking about what that means in nature, when it rains, the water is typically going to hit the roots and then it's kind of just going to fall off because they're not sitting in soil where that water is going to stay and sit. So as for watering, you will want to let the soil completely dry out before you go in there. I would say a little bit more water than you would give, again, to your typical desert cactus. They are, used to being in conditions that will have more rainfall, but just making sure that you do have a very well draining soil, a very well draining pot will really be crucial in keeping this plant happy and healthy. Same for humidity, where most standard cactuses do not want much to do with humidity. This guy, you know, he kind of likes having a little bit of humidity around, so don't be scared if you have a more humid house to kind of have this guy in those conditions. That is what he is going to be used to in nature. Now, the longest stem on this guy that I have is maybe about a foot long, but these guys can kind of max out around 20 inches, so probably about double the size that they are now, which is pretty impressive. One thing I have not been able to figure out what causes this in some plants and not in others. Both these plants seem to be labeled as hurricane cactuses, but I will see some varieties where, as opposed to kind of having straight stems like this one does, it'll have these really cool corkscrew-like stems, which is where I'm imagining it gets its name hurricane cactus from. So I'll put a picture here. If you know anything about this, or if you have one of these plants, I'd be really curious to hear from you on, you know, how you get your cactus to do this. What seems most likely is just that they are slightly different varieties from each other, and the internet just hasn't distinguished those. Perhaps it's that this one isn't getting as much sun as those. I'm not really sure, so please, if you know, let me know down below, because I have to know. I would love for my cactus to look like that. If you were to come over to my apartment and you saw this guy and you just thought that he was so cool that you wanted to steal a piece of him for yourself, super easy to propagate. Basically, you will just take a cutting of one of these pieces, let it callus over, and it will root up from there. Now what you can see will basically happen at that point where you're taking that cutting is you'll form a little callus on the end, and this probably won't focus. Why would it? Okay, here we go. So you can see this section right here, and it has this kind of little branching off of it. So once that callus forms on the piece that's still connected to your cactus, you'll see it kind of split like that into two different sections, and you'll grow additional arms from there, which is fantastic, because if you're looking for more of a bushy plant as opposed to a long plant, then, you know, that's how you get it. Now, while mine has not flowered personally, I have read online that they can get all sorts of flowers, from yellow to pink to even a magenta color, so I will find pictures and I will put some of them over here for your viewing pleasure. Oh my god, you guys. As I was sitting here, as I was just saying that mine doesn't flower, oh god, where did it go? Okay, right here. Do you see that? I think that's going to be a flower. How cool would that be? Alright, you guys, well, that is all I have today on this hurricane cactus, but of course, if you have questions, if you have comments that you would like to make about this video that I did not address today, then please drop them down below. I'd love to talk to you guys. You know I always reply to you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that like button. It definitely helps me out. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button for more care videos, more fun plant-related videos, all kinds of good stuff going on here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.